right, so area of a circle. Area of a circle is the amount of space inside this circle. It's inside. So does anybody happen to remember the formula for area of a circle? And apparently not a lot of you because the percentage wasn't very good on that pretest.
Wait a minute. Isn't that like the square root of some? No, I'm thinking of
Area equals pi radius squared. Pi r squared. Now, because of the state test that we're still going to have to take, sometimes on the state test, they leave pi in terms of pi. Sometimes they go ahead and multiply it out. So I'm going to actually have you do two different answers. The first answer, we're going to leave pi just in terms of pi. Then we're going to go ahead and multiply the pi out. So pi, I'm just going to leave this symbol. The radius, this is the radius, because the radius goes from the center to a side. So it's 2. Don't forget the square. So pi 2 squared. Well, what's 2 squared? 4. So 2 squared is 4. You always put the number in front. So therefore, it's going to go to 4 pi miles. And I do want units on these. So miles squared. So that's the answer in terms of pi. That's the answer in terms of pi. Now, I want everybody to make sure they know where their pi button is, whatever calculator you're using, whether it's computer or phone or whatever. You're going to do 4 times, hit the pi button, hit the equals. You should get 12.6. So you end up getting 12.6. I multiplied pi out, so the pi's gone now. Miles squared. So everybody make sure that they can get that on their calculator. So I want to make sure everyone knows how to find that pi button. If anybody needs help finding the pi button, or if anybody doesn't get it, let me know so I can show you. Most of the phone calculators, if you turn it to the landscape calculator, it's kind of on the bottom, almost middle, but slightly to the right, where most of the phones put it. But you'll probably have to use the landscape calculator. Does anybody need help finding their pi button? So number 2. We're going to leave pi as pi. Be careful. What's the radius? 8.5. 8.5. Because radius, remember, is only half the way across. I gave you all the way across on this thing. So I got to take 17, divide by 2 to get half the way across, which is 8.5. So then my radius is 8.5 squared. So like I said, first just leave pi as pi. 8.5 squared, hit the equal, and I get 72.25 pi miles squared. Area is always a squared unit. Area is always a squared unit. Then, like I said, I want to go ahead and get the exact answer. Or I should say the answer is multiplying out pi. So times pi. I just left the 7.25 in the calculator. It was already there. And I got 226.98. So that's going to round it all the way up to 227. Technically, it's 0.0, but if you don't put the 0.0, that's okay. Miles squared. So like I said, on the state test, they might give it to you in either form of the answer. If it's a multiple choice type question, they might leave it in terms of pi. They might multiply it out. So I just want to make sure you can kind of recognize it in both forms. Area of a circle. Did it kind of refresh your memories? You better shape area of a circle. Be okay? All right. Moving on. Ooh, if I don't fall. Can I move it? 3 and 4. Now this one we're looking at area of a sector. So this one, we're looking at the area of just this piece of the pie. So if I have a pie and I want to know just this piece of the pie, that'd be one thing. Maybe I'm trying to build a garden and the garden's going to be kind of a shape of a piece of pie and I want to know how much mulch. That would be like area of a sector, something like that. Well, I still have to find area of the whole thing. So we're still going to do pi r squared. So that's the whole circle. But does anybody have any suggestions on how I might be able to find the area of just the piece that's kind of darkened in? Do you have any suggestions?
Would we add another 9 to the 9 kilometers?
I don't want to add another 9. It has something to do with the degree up there. Because I know this piece of the pie is 135 degrees. And it's 135 degrees out of how many degrees? 360, because the whole thing was 360. So if I multiply by the degree, but then divide by 360, the degree over 360 gives me the part of the pie I actually want. So it's 135 degrees out of 360 degrees. So it's kind of a third, a little more than a third. So that's our formula. So let's plug everything in. Pi, radius is 9, squared times degree, 135, divide by 360. Now, again, I want to make sure you know how to type this in. Just leave pi there for a minute. Just ignore it. So in my calculator, I'm going to go 9 squared times 135. I'm going to go ahead and hit the equal button because that's everything on top. Equals. Then I'm going to go ahead and divide by the 360. Hit the equals again. And I get 30 point, it's 375, but I'm just going to write the 4 pi, because pi is still there, kilometers squared. But again, I'm just going to leave the 30.375 in the calculator because it's a more exact answer and no reason to type it again if I don't have to. And then just go times pi and I get 95.4. So my other answer would be 95.4 kilometers squared. So make sure when you're typing it in, you get those two answers. If you don't get those two answers, let me know now. So I want to make sure you know how to type these in the calculator. Because for the most part, this is all calculator. Are we okay? Everybody getting those answers? So number 4, same thing. Pi, radius, what's the radius this time? Radius? 10. So 10 squared times the degree of the piece of pie, 315, so I want all of this piece of the pie, I want almost all of it. Just this tiny little piece chopped out. So 315 out of, how much is at the bottom? 360. There's my setup. 10 squared times 315 equals, divide by 360 equals 87.5 pi. 87.5 pi inches squared. Again, it's just in the calculator, so I just go times pi equals again 274.9. 274.9 inches squared. So area of a sector. Area of a sector is just this piece of the pie, how much there is. Like I said, maybe you're making a garden and you want to cover this with mulch. So you want to figure out how much mulch it's going to take. Maybe you're having a pizza eating contest and you want to find out how much pizza this is. You can figure out the area of that pizza. Boom. 3 and 4. We good? Now we're going to move to circumference. Now, like I said, circumference. That one really went rough on that one pretest thing. Does anybody remember the formula for circumference?
2 times 5 times 30.
Good job. 2 pi r. So instead of squaring the radius, you're just going to multiply by 2. So 2 pi radius, that's a radius, that's 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So I get 10 pi miles. Now, circumference is just a distance. So you don't square it, you're not looking at area, it's just all the way around this circle. How much is it? So that would be, say, if I've got some kind of a building inside here, and I want a security fence 5 miles out, because I want to make it really secure, and I need to find out how much fence it's going to take to go all the way around this circle, I'm going to need 10 pi miles of fence. I don't know what that is. So we're going to take 10 times pi, and I need 31.4. Oh, I know what that is. 31.4 miles of fence. 31.4 miles of fence. So that's my answer there. Now, number 6. What's the 4? 4 is it's the diameter. So this is a radius, this is a diameter. And if you notice, if you double the radius, you get a diameter. And this is already a diameter. So I can just use the 4, because twice radius is diameter. So it's just 4 pi. Now, if you don't remember that, that's okay. It just means you probably divide by 2, then multiply 2 right back in. But you get 4 pi. Centimeters, that's my unit. Well, this would be like if I had some kind of a project that I had a circle, and I want to wrap ribbon around the outside edge. And I want to know how much ribbon. So I would take 4 times pi, and I need 12.6 centimeters of ribbon. 12.6 centimeters of ribbon. So 5 and 6, yes.
You want us to put C equals after all of our answers?
You don't need to do that. I'm fine with that. But make sure you get the unit, the mile, centimeter, that stuff. You get 5, 6? Moving on. Too far. 7, 8. Well, again, now I'm just looking for this little piece of the pie. So I've got this little piece of the pie. Kind of like if this was a piece of pizza, and I had this pizza, and I want to know how much crust this is, the crust on the edge, that would be length of an arc. But I still have to find the circumference around the whole thing. So it's still 2 pi r. And same as we did the first time around, we were only doing part of the circle. We're going to take the degrees, divide by 360. So 2 pi radius 10, degree 45, divide by 360. So then I'm going to multiply 2 times 10 times 45, ignore the pi first, equals, divide by 360, equals 2.5. So 2.5 pi inches, and remember it's just inches because it's just a distance. Now on a state test, instead of 2.5, they might put 5 over 2. 5 over 2 is the same as 2.5. And again, we're gonna multiply it out. So times pi. 7.85 says 7.9 inches. So 7.9 inches.
Ow, that hurt.
So that means if I have a 10-inch radius pizza, which is a really big pizza, because usually pizza sizes are the diameter of the pizza. So this would be like a 20-inch pizza. It's a really big pizza.
Yeah,
This piece of pie would have a crust that's 7.9 inches. That's how big the crust is on that. And number 8. 2 pi radius degree divide by 360. 2 times 12 times 150 equals, divide by 360. Well, that comes out nice. It's just 10. So 10 pi feet. So again, this is like if I had like a flower garden that had this shape and I wanted to put a border here, I would need 10 pi feet. Well, again, I don't know what 10 pi is. So if I multiply by pi, I'm going to need 31.4 feet of whatever I'm using for the border on this outside edge. Question. So, the back has 2 more of each type. So 9 through 16, go ahead and work on.